Welcome, everybody. This is Peter, Mortgage Buyeroo, and I'm with my very special guest, Laura Gadalla from John L. Scott. Laura, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks, Peter, for having me.
Well, Laura and I have been working together for a while now, even since, back when I was working at the joint venture with you guys.
Yes, that was 10 years ago, 11 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while. And, obviously careers evolve, our profession evolves. But Laura, tell me a little bit about your history, because I know everything about you, but they don't know anything about you.
What? You guys don't know anything about me at all? Happy to. I spent over 25 plus years in hospitality. I know I don't look that old, but I am. All with one hotel brand, pretty much. And I climbed up the corporate ladder, did every position within the organization, and I got so far up the ladder that it took me away from doing the things that I love best, and that's, being with clients and servicing customers and guests and, making sure that their stay was impeccable and enjoying the reason that they were traveling to the destination that they were at. And so I kind of took a look at it and had a couple conversations with some friends, and they said, well, real estate's kind of like that, and you don't have to do all of that reporting and all the other paperwork. You actually get to do all the things that you enjoy, and that's the client services and making sure that you're advocating on behalf of the clients and doing things that bring a smile to their face.
Yeah, I was very blessed to work with Laura when she first started out in the industry. And one of the things that I thought was very commendable about Laura was she was one of the few realtors that was able to go from part-time to full-time successfully. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that was a very interesting journey in your life, I believe.
It was. Granted, I was single then, so it made things a lot easier. Now, being a mom of two, that would have been a little bit more challenging, I think. But, where there's a will, there's a way. And when it's important to you, you make those sacrifices to do what's right for you and or your family. But I stepped down from the regional position and went into more of a concierge role, where I would wake up and I'd get up and be to work at 5 a.m. and then work until noon and then go home, take a look at some emails, answer those back, and then go into the office and work for a while and then stay up until whenever I needed to. And I was learning, so I did some things the hard way. Instead of looking at inventory in a smart way for my clients, I would end up looking at every single piece of inventory that came on the market for that day and going through everything one by one, versus now I can do it a little bit more fluidly because I know all the ins and outs. But I would sometimes stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning, look at an inventory, and then getting up at 4 and going into my day job.
I remember this. I remember we would shoot emails back and forth about clients at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. And then I was like, this is the only other person that's hustling as hard as I am. So I just remember that. That really stuck out. There's a lot of people who do real estate part-time, and so if you were to give, 2 or 3, advice, what would you give those part-timers? What's the roadmap to become a full-time realtor?
Wow. Well, first you have to know your why. That's what everybody always says, is know your why. Why do you do it? So knowing your why, but that's textbook. I think the other thing is you have to be hungry. You have to want to do it. It's not just a job, it's a career. And a lot of times people think that, it's just an easy way to make money, and it's really not. Mm-hmm. It's really not. Sometimes you go without a paycheck for a long period of time. So, but, in the end, for me, it's not about the paycheck, it's about the clients. And I think if you put your clients first, that's key. Secondly, I think learning as much as you can and then applying that knowledge and staying current. There's so many things that change in the industry, whether it's, slowly or on a quick axis. So being able to be agile and learn and understand what changes are affecting the marketplace are really important. Yeah.
For you, was there a certain number of transaction where you're like, hey, that's my goal. Once I hit that transaction number consistently, I'm going to go full time? Or was it just kind of what was the determining factor? Because I remember that transition period for you.
Yeah, I didn't really have a goal or a set number, a dollar amount or a number of houses. It just, when I felt comfortable that I could sustain a living at it was when I would do it. I still to this day don't have like a goal, like I want to make X amount of dollars or sell X amount of houses. Because I feel that if I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, my job, taking care of my clients, all that's going to come. And I know that's a weird way to think of things. I don't know too many people like me. I know a lot more people are probably goal driven, where they have like a targeted number of houses. I want to sell, one house a month or two houses a month, or make, 250,000, or, I want to make 90,000 is just, a side hustle type thing. And this job is definitely not a side hustle.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I mean, same thing with mortgage as well. It's a full-time job. It's hard to, juggle a 9 to 5 and do our jobs as well.
Right. Well, especially if you want to effectively develop that relationship with your client and have them come back again and work with you. I mean, that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's relationships.
One of the things that always stuck out, about you is your passion for your clients, right? Like how you go the extra mile. And I remember when we started, so we both got licensed, or I don't know if it's called licensed, but through the Washington State Housing and Finance Commission, you can get certified to teach these first-time home buyer classes for basically for this. It's not really a grant, but it's down payment assistance.
Right.
Yeah, and so I remember we went to Seattle together, and we did the training, and we used to spend, so through the down payment assistance program, you have to teach this class for 5 hours. Do you remember that? 5 hours?
I do. On a Saturday. Or
yeah.
we split it in the evenings, but we chose to do the weekend. It was easier, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, and so some of the people weren't prepared, but Laura would still jump through all the hoops for them until they were. And so I do remember a couple of borrowers specifically that did the down payment assistance program, and you helped them achieve the American dream of home ownership.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you, because you were but you were the one who helped me be able to be successful for our client. And, that's what it is. It's not just about the realtor. It's about the team that's put together, your lender, your home inspector, your, mortgage, not your mortgage, but your escrow and title companies too. All of these players have a key role in that success piece. So, it's just managing to tie it all together.
So who you work with matters.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you were so creative. You took the time to even explain everything to the couples that we worked with, and it's a hard thing when you're a first-time home buyer. Well, what does this mean? What does this mean? And you were patient and took that time to explain all those things to everybody, which goes a long way.
I still remember the icebreakers you would have for the 5-hour class, which made it fun. Like I felt like our 5-hour classes were the best because we had some sponsors too who would take care of lunch, and we had like little games and little giveaways, but it was always fun. It didn't feel like 5 hours.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
But you have to have fun. This is a fun process. The whole thing about buying a home is like how fun it is. All the stuff behind the scenes is necessary, very necessary. But finding the house and going through all the steps to make that dream happen. When you turn that key, when you first get it, that's just a blessing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, John L. Scott, you've been there your whole career. I think the whole career, right?
Yes.
So I feel like that's a unicorn. Like there's not many realtors who stick with the same brokerage for their whole career, especially as long as you've been doing it. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about why John L. Scott and what's kind of kept you there throughout the years.
Right. So, again, going back, if anybody's interested in getting into this field, make sure you do your research and you're comfortable with the company, their philosophies, and the way they operate. John L. Scott was that for me because they put a high degree of training in front of you prior to you going out and working with clients. Not only that, the continuing education is paramount too, like I was saying earlier. And then their philanthropy. It's all about community and, living your life as a core value, right? And how you want to be treated. So I think all those things kind of fit within what my lifestyle is as well. So, education and making sure you're staying abreast to any changes and current philanthropy. A part of my commission always goes back to Children's Seattle Hospital, and just the tools and everything that John L. Scott offers makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, I also think that John L. Scott provides really good mentorship. The training.
Yes.
The managers are very knowledgeable. They help you with sales, tactics to scripts to, just how to run an open house.
Right. Well, there's never not been a time that I've not been able to call somebody. Well, maybe sometimes at 1 o'clock when I'm the only one up in the world, but even being able to benchmark with other brokers within our office has been great, especially, those who are more seasoned than me, especially some of the things now that I'm getting into with commercial real estate and, doing land deals now. And so it's nice to be able to reach out to some of those brokers that have that experience too.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that you've actually evolved and went from residential and now you've been doing commercial for a while now. Can you talk a little bit about commercial real estate and how it's different from residential?
Well, you have to be a lot more patient. It does take a little bit longer, but that's okay because it's also a longer lease, Usually they're leases, unless you are looking at purchasing. There's a lot of due diligence and a lot of paperwork that needs to be had. Attorneys are involved because this is a document that you're signing for a lot longer of a time period. And all your due diligence is just time consuming. So, but it's important that you find the right thing. Negotiating a lease is a lot more interesting than negotiating a lease for rental property for residential than it is for commercial. Commercial, you have, is it going to be a triple net or is it going to be a full service? What elements do you have involved in that lease? Do you have your utilities? Do you have parking? Do you have other amenities that are available to you?
Nice. Are there any similarities as far as like lead generation, how you find clients?
I think that's probably one of the similarities, right? I mean, it's all about your sphere of the people that you know, the people that trust you, the people that are willing to or wanting to work with you, that trust you, trust your knowledge, and the only other thing that's probably the same is that there's a broker for the for the leasing side and or selling side as well as the buyer or lessor side.
You think that the not guidelines, but I guess just the process of doing business, commercial versus residential, is commercial a little bit easier? As far as like paperwork, red tape.
I wouldn't say it's easier, but it's a business. It's more transactional than residential. So residential still has the, for lack of a better way to say it, the touchy-feely side of things, where commercial is more transactional and factual. Like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And you get those things and you're like, okay, I'm satisfied. Where with, purchasing a home, I want this, but then there's a whole bunch of feelings that kind of go in with that. Is it near a good school system? Do I have, what's the neighborhood like? What does my home inspection give me? Oh, is that going to be a lot of money to fix, or is this home in perfect condition? So there's a lot more emotional attachment to residential than commercial.
So if a residential realtor, wanted to get into commercial, what would be something that you would recommend to them?
Take some of the CBA training that's available to commercial brokers. So I still do all of my training with them, And in fact, I have one next week too.
Is that like continuing education, or is this like required?
Continuing education, and you still have your required courses.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So, Laura, you actually just moved back to Washington.
Yes. Yay.
So Laura went from moved to from Michigan. How long ago was this?
Well, I moved to Michigan during COVID.
That's right.
Wasn't everybody moving during that time? So my family and I moved back to Michigan to take care of my mom. And and now we've moved back. And again, a culture shock, being in real estate there and being in real estate here and coming back and seeing those differences. The market there has a lot more rentals than it does here. And I still talk with some of the brokers back in Michigan, and, they're seeing homes go on the market and come off the market quickly as well. Not as many multiple offers as we do have here, or that we've seen here in this market, but they are seeing some multiple offers, and the home's priced right, just like in any place. It's going to find its new owner.
What's the median house price? Because I heard you could buy a house in Michigan for under $100,000. That's kind of hard to believe.
You can, but it depends on what area you're looking at. So, for instance, in Macomb is where we lived. Median house price is probably around $450 or so, up to $700.
Okay. What does $700,000 get you in Michigan? You're talking a pool, or?
Do you want me to assimilate it to here? Oh yeah, you get a pool, no problem. Pools are huge in Michigan, and a huge backyard, 4 or 5 bedrooms. You get a house with a basement. We had
like 3,000 square feet, 35.
Yeah, about 3,000 square feet, 3,200 square feet, $600,000.
Nice.
4 bedroom, like a loft area, nice den with sunroom. And full basement, maybe finished, maybe not. So 4-car garage.
Okay. 4-car garage. Okay.
4-car garage.
Yeah.
That was hard to leave. But if we had taken that house and put it here, we'd be looking at probably around 2 point something.
Wow.
Because even just the yard, the garage, 3,200 square feet, basement, everything. So. Yeah.
What do you think?
Culture shock again.
As far as like demographic of buyers, like what kind of jobs are they doing in Michigan? Because we all know that in Seattle it's heavy tech based. What about in Michigan? What is that like?
Michigan, you have the big 3, right? All the car dealerships, or not car dealerships, car makers, manufacturers. And all those businesses that support it. That's the primary workforce there.
Cool.
There are some things that are evolving too. All over the place, but that's the major employers.
So let's bring it back to the Seattle market, greater Seattle, I should say. What are you seeing in the Seattle market today, and how it's changed in the last, let's say, 6 months? Last 6 months, how has it changed, or same, different?
Well, inventory is getting better. And as you know, interest rates have come down a little bit, which helps. The Fed today said they're not going to touch them.
They're not going to touch them for this meeting, but
right.
Yeah, the target rate is still the same. They're anticipating. I only expect 3 to 4 rate cuts. I think 6 is a little bit too aggressive, that some people have said, but I also think that dropping interest rates is really not going to help our economy, just because inflation is so high, right? And when money gets cheap, people are going to start buying again, And so I think an interesting fact is that, the amount of debt America has, the average American has so much debt today than they did. Yes. And so what I'm seeing a lot of application-wise coming in is cash out refinances, because even though they have a 3% interest rate right now on their home, they have other debts. So like since COVID, they bought a couple cars, they bought maybe they bought a purse, or luxury items.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but luxury items were selling at all-time highs during COVID.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, because instead of going to, vacationing and all that, people would buy luxury items. And so because of that, debt's at all-time highs right now. And so people are refinancing for the higher interest rate because overall their monthly payment goes down. And this is actually something called a blended interest rate, where you're taking your interest rate for your home and then interest rate for all your debt. We're talking about car loans, student loans, credit card debt. Credit card debt's at all-time highs right now. And so a lot of times it makes sense, especially if you have debt, to refinance and pay off that debt.
Interesting.
Yeah. But sorry, I digress.
No, it's great. I mean, that's great information to have.
Going back to real estate market the last 6 months. More inventory. Are we still seeing homes sitting?
No.
Or are they selling off the like hotcakes?
We are not seeing home sitting. We are seeing more inventory, but we're not seeing home sitting very long. Offer review dates are still out there, and we're seeing multiple offers for homes and escalating again. I had a client miss out on a property because the listing agent received 30 double
wow.
digits offers on the home, and it went for $200,000 over.
What was like percentage wise? Was it like a 1 point something?
2-bedroom. No, it was 2-bedroom home. It was $550, and it went for
$550.
Yeah, it went for $750,
Wow.
and that's on the east side. So
That's huge.
it is. It's very huge.
That's huge.
So not all homes are like that. So I don't want to scare off anybody, but doing your research and having somebody in your corner to be able to run those comps and understand what the marketplace is, being able to have that conversation with the listing agent on the other side of the table too, and finding out a little bit more information of what's going to make your offer more appealing than the others. Does it come down to money? Is it terms? Is it having a good lender on your side that can, call the listing agent and let them know how qualified you are for a loan? And that's why I say it's about the team that you work together when you're not only hiring, the realtor, but you're hiring all the people that kind of go along with that and their expertise too.
So I actually want to bring something up and to emphasize on is what a lot of consumers don't understand is the amount of work and time it takes for a buyer's agent to get a home under contract, especially in a market like ours, where it's so competitive. It's not just, hey, I'm going to submit an offer and then let's just see what happens, right? And so when I see, especially in the news, all this stuff about, realtors, they watch all these TV shows, but when I see you and the amount of work, you tell your clients, even if it's not a good deal, you'll never force someone to say, yeah, put an offer in. You advise them. You actually care about what they're getting into. But I think right now, especially in this market, the buyer's agent is just as important as a listing agent to get a home under contract.
Of course. Because the seller then would just have their home on the market, right?
Yeah, and let's face it, the listing agent, their job is to represent the seller. So they want to get the highest price possible, right? And so for the buyer side, there is the market determines the price.
Not always the highest price. It depends on what the seller is looking for. Maybe the terms are more important. And that's why I said, being able to work with, both, the agent on the listing side and the buyer side, you want to have those conversations to find out what is important.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about a quick close. So they don't want to wait 2 weeks. They want to know if this person is going to make up the difference in cash if they offer more than the list price too. So it's all the moving parts as a whole.
I love hearing quick close.
Yeah.
Because not every lender can do it. And I actually successfully closed a deal in 9 calendar days.
Awesome.
So which I feel like a lot of consumers come to me and the first thing they do is, what's the rate?
Yeah.
What's the rate? And so it's more than just the rate, because there's also discount points and fees. We're not going to really get into that today, but I think also with real estate, it's more than just, what are you going to do?
What's going to set your offer apart?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So that's why it's good to have a good lender and one who knows and understands the marketplace, as well as what kind of options will work best for that client. So, and I know you're one of those persons that will look through every single, will look through all of the options that you have available to find the perfect fit. So that's
Absolutely,
because I enjoy working with you.
It's not always a one size fits all, and down payment, for me, it's like, my whole mission is generational wealth, just being second generation Korean and, trying to build a legacy for my two boys. You have two girls, so same thing. But it's not just, Ty Duncan's High Trust Selling as one of my favorite books because it talks about professional sales. And if you look out for your clients' best interests, because clients are not stupid.
No. But they become your friends too. I mean, in the whole scheme of things, I mean, you work with them for so long. I mean, I have a client that I worked with for over a year trying to find them the perfect house.
Wow.
And it's not, for me, it's not about making the sale. It's about finding that person's perfect home. Because it's not like an apartment where you're going to, rent it for a year and then be gone. You have a mortgage. And so you're going to walk through that door every day for at least, 2 to 5, 10 or more years. And so you want to be happy every time you pull into the driveway or you turn the key to that door.
So, if I understand this correctly, our market's going to be leading to something similar to 2021 with multiple offer situations because we're already seeing it now.
We are seeing it now. And there's such limited supply, but there's a lot more supply. So than this time last year. I have a couple sellers right now that are getting their homes ready for the spring. So they know that springtime is the best time to sell. People, kind of look forward to that spring market with the shoulder markets being the fall and winter. But summer's time is the time that a lot of families are looking to move and or schools out. So it's the opportune time to get your home on the market.
If you are working, let's say you're a first-time home buyer, what would be an advice for a first-time home buyer going into a strong seller's market? We're going to see interest rates drop a little bit more, which means there's going to be even more home buyers entering the market. What would you advise them?
First thing would be don't spend frivolously right now. If you're really looking to buy a home, don't buy a car, don't charge up your credit cards. Like you were saying, those kind of things will, impact how much of a house you can afford. Secondly, is find somebody that you know, like, and trust to be in your corner to represent you as a buyer and find out as much as you can. There's a lot of great programs out there, like the one Peter and I taught for a first-time home buyer. Do some research, ask questions. No questions are stupid. You are finding out all of this information. It's coming at you kind of like the speed of a fire hose. And so you need to be able to, be agile and understand. So if you're starting to look, I would say start doing your homework now. Reach out, interview agents, and, ask them for some guidance. Ask them to explain the forms to you so you know what you're signing. Because sometimes you're going to look at a house and then they're reviewing the offer, later that day or tomorrow. And so you're not going to have time to read through and understand everything. So doing as much in advance that you can versus, just signing something blindly, which I do not recommend. You really need to know what those contracts are that you're signing because it's a legal document.
I'd also like to add, if you could become a cash buyer, like through NAF Cash, we can turn any buyer into a cash buyer. Cash is king. I keep saying that, but it's going to help sway the decision for sellers.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of goes along with the, don't spend anything, kind of talk to you first and get pre-approved for whatever it is that they can afford. Because you don't want to look over your means. Nobody wants to eat ramen noodles for the next year because you're trying to afford your mortgage, right? It's great that you have that luxury item, but so what's your perfect client? I mean, what qualities do you look for when somebody comes to you and they say, I want to buy a home?
Well, that's a great question. I think being a serious buyer. I think being a serious buyer means that you're ready, willing, and prepared to provide information that could affect or affect the approval of your loan, because there are so many times when people try to hide information from myself, or a loan officer, because they don't think that it's going to come up. But 9 times out of 10, it will come up. So it's better to be upfront and honest, especially when you complete the loan application.
Right.
I said the other thing would be being open to advice, and so people think that interest rates are the only thing that factors into their mortgage, but there's so much more. A lot of lenders, what they're doing right now is when you look at rates, they're actually charging discount points. So it's like a one-time fee that they pay for that lower rate. And the consumer doesn't understand that if you wanted a 2% interest rate, I can get you a 2% interest rate. It's just going to cost you, right? So if you are open to advice and look at things from a lender's perspective, you will be successful. Because I think for me, one of the things that I look at is long-term. I don't want to work with a buyer and just be transactional. I want to be your lender for life.
Right.
So some of the things I look at is, what are your dreams? What are your goals? What is your family size right now? Are you going to have two more kids, right? And so those are the things that are important. But yeah, I'm just saying being open to advice. And when it comes time to, when it's go time, you found a house and you want to submit an application. You're under contract. Be ready to move quickly, because the last thing the seller cares about is how long it takes you to get that loan document. So that comes up often.
Right. Yeah. Being prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And the trust issue, is huge. You're entrusting as a buyer all of your, information to somebody.
I got your social security number. I got your date of birth. Well, Laura, thanks again for stopping by and sharing your journey for your real estate career. I really appreciate everything that you shared, from the commercial side to the buyer side and everything in between.
Well, thank you, Peter, for having me. I really appreciate this. Peter reached out to me and he said, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like, first podcast, sure, let's do it. I trust Peter implicitly. We've worked together for, like 10 years ago through till now. And if you're looking for a good lender, I would say Peter really has your best interest at heart.
All right. Thank you all. Thanks for watching.